here?
This is Texas. Don't ask that question.
I am asking you. You did?
Yeah.
Boo!
Why? But it's Donald Trump! Why did you do it? That's so wrong!
I want to make America great again.
American.
If you had a DeLorean, would you make a different choice? Would you? You would, wouldn't you? You would. Donald Trump. Why would you do it?
Dear FBI, he didn't throw the crackers, I promise. Please do not arrest him at my show.
This would just disintegrate on hit. Even if I threw it at you.
Hey, kid, what was
Did you
that?
vote for Donald Trump? There was a gravitational pull to you. You were campaigning for him in the streets, weren't you? How could you? You're so young. There's so much of your life left to live properly as a human being that cares about other human beings and not just yourself.
So let's talk about a show that was very gay and lesbian friendly. When you were working on Lost Girls.
Oh, because you said girls last time.
I didn't say girls.
Yeah, you do lots of research, don't you?
Turn that off.
Because there's two girls.
He's spending too much time on his mustache. That's the problem.
Worth it.
It's true.
Thank
you. Thank you.
I agree too. I got mustache envy.
He's jealous.
I can't even grow a beard properly. I have to grow this poncy little thing on my chin just to make myself feel manly. But you can twirl.
That's right.
Turn it off.
Snidely whiplash.
It is, look at that. I wish I could do that.
Lost Girl.
Lost Girl. Oh yeah. Should we answer some questions about my career?
I don't know. Well, because I'm curious when they approached you to play Vex.
They never approached me to play Vex.
Okay, so you.
I was hoping, begging them to let me play anything.
And they did. They let you play Vex. How much creative input did you have on the character, and how much of Vex did they come to you and say, okay, so he's a cross-dressing, androgynous fuckboy?
Is there anyone from the Geek Expos company present? That's a fire.
Sorry.
I'm pretty sure. That's terminated. I know you're a volunteer and you don't get paid, but
No, please fire me.
I think it's a
The
step.
worst thing you can do is not fire
that's
me.
probably the best thing I can do right now. I actually had a lot of input. I probably had the most input out of all of them. Largely based on the fact that I think I created a character that they were never expecting to create in the first place. Because the character originally died in the pilot, so it was one of those. I'd only just moved to Canada, and I auditioned for the part along with tons of other actors, and I actually only ever did one audition. Usually you come back for callbacks, and sometimes with some of the bigger roles they screen test you, but I think from their perspective with Vex, it was like a one-episode pilot thing, and he was just like the villain of that pilot, and then he died at the end of it. And then I did the first scenes on set, and they saw what we'd created with it, because I was working with Anne on kind of the costume and what we wanted to do with the character. And then when we brought it to set, and it actually came, and the first scene we did was a carburetor scene, which was, I still think is probably one of the best scenes in the whole show. They saw that scene and they were like, we're really going to try and keep this character alive. And I was like, great, more work. I can feed my daughter finally. I did that. It was kind of a pain in the arse, to be honest, because they kept him alive. And then we had a horrible time before we got picked up, because a lot of shows get picked up pretty quickly. Soon after the pilot, they see it and they're like, okay, we love this. yeah, I think it took us just over a year. So it was this really weird thing, because I was like, oh my word, I got this great part in this show that I really liked and I wanted to, and we're going to, hopefully we go to series and they're keeping me alive. And then after a year later, we got the green light, and I was like, yes, you know, first series, great part, gonna rock this. And then they were like, oh yeah, but you know what, we're gonna go back. That pilot's gonna be episode 8. And I was like, but I'm introduced in the pilot. And they were like, yeah, you're probably not gonna be in it until right at the end of the season. So I ended up, it was actually quite difficult, because there were a few casting changes, because the person who originally played Lauren's character was a different actress. And then they changed that character, they changed the casting on it before filming. So I had no idea who Zoe was. And KC was introduced to the show, and I'd never met KC. And then they filmed, I was in episode 11, because I'd already done the pilot. And that was episode 8. So then the next episode I was in was 11. And that was the only episode I had in season 1. So I turned up on set, and it was the weirdest thing. It was like, it was this show that I'd helped create, and helped, you know, we all helped get it to series, and everyone loved the character, and I wasn't really in the first season. And it was like, it was weird, because I turned up on set and I said, I don't feel like I'm part of this show. And it, not only that, they made such a dramatic shift in style, that I turned up on set and I was like, fuck, this is a different show than the one we did. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, my character may not fit into this show right now. So I remember having a little bit of a moment, and I did what I did, where I thought the character was in episode 11, and it was quite dark for the show, right? And there was a really dark character, and they wanted to go in a completely different direction with it. So I remember then, having finished the season, I was like, well, if I come back for season 2 now, I'm gonna have to really readdress this character. Otherwise, it's not gonna live in the show, because people were already like, well, we should kill this character. He's now too dark for the show. He was like a baby killer, he was goth, he was quite dark. So then by the time we started moving the show on, and I was like, a few episodes into season 2, we created almost a slightly different character. So then we had to try and work out an arc to change that character to fit in the show. So then I had to kind of do quite a lot of work to try and figure out how he could fit in the show. And that's a lot of it, was piecing Vex into the show. But these are good times, right? Anything in life where you're like challenged and you feel uncomfortable is probably the best spot you can be in, because it's at that point that you have to do something, you have to learn, you have to create, and that's what we do. As soon as, you know, the comfort zone's a really lovely place, but nothing grows there, right? So it was really good for me as an actor, because I had to navigate the idea of, I had to deal with a lot, because I wasn't really in the show all the time, right? So when you're not in the show all the time, you don't always feel a part of it, and you can be like, I really want to be in the show, and I want to earn more money. And that they can't find a way in for you. And they were like, well, the thing is about Vex is that if he was in it all the time, it'd be too much, and we're not sure how to fit in with the Scooby Gang. So we had all these challenges to try and fit the character into the show. And I would talk with the writers a lot of the time about where I thought the character could go, and I was like, well, I think, like the last Mesmer storyline I presented to them, and I was like, well, I think with these characters you have to, because they're a love-hate character, everybody loves to hate these characters, but you have to give something that all of a sudden makes the audience feel empathy with the character, and it gives reason as to like what they're doing. Like he's a baby killer assassin for the Dark Fae, but maybe there's a reason behind that. And if you present that gradually throughout the show, people start to feel empathy for this character. And I think we did a really good job of doing that, right probably up until the end of the show, where I felt the character then just kind of, no one's recording, right? They forced an agenda on the character, because they really wanted a gay character in the show, a male character. And they've been trying to do it for a while, and they suggested they wanted kind of Vex to go there. I was a bit reluctant, because I felt it took a lot away from the character. I felt the ambiguity of sexuality and of just not really having to make a choice, per se. Like, you don't always have to make choices. Like, you do make choices, but life is very fluid and flexible. And if everyone understood that we're all fallible, we all make mistakes, that we're privy to change, and that is okay, and that's acceptable. And we shouldn't be vilified for it. It shouldn't be, said I would do that, but then I did something else. Well, things worked out differently. But then I got an agenda forced on the character where he had made a choice, like a very profound, big choice for the character that I felt was forced, wasn't earned. And from that perspective, as an actor, sometimes it's a little disappointing in shows, but I mean, these shows are huge. The networks have their agenda. There's things everyone wants, and at the end of the day, you're just there to say the lines and look pretty, and sell goods, and try and get a modicum of artistry within it. But I felt we did a really good job right up until the end, and yeah. So, did I have creative input on the show? I think I had a little bit.
And that's a lot more than a lot of actors get, so that's actually pretty impressive to hear.
Well, we were very lucky because with our show, much more than any other show, Jay, it was his show, right? So he funded the pilot. He took this script round to tons of networks, and they were like, yeah, we really like this show, and he was like, screw this, I'm gonna put my money down and make this pilot. And we filmed it for 17 days. It's quite a long time. It's for one episode. We were doing 7, 8 days on most episodes, 6 on a couple. So 17 days for one episode. That's why episode number 8 is so good. It's like a movie. He put his money down, and he got creative control. So he got the veto on everything. And Jay was very much in the corner of the actors. Jay really liked the character of Vex. I think he thinks he created the character. I actually think he thinks he was acting on screen, wearing the clothes. I actually think he thinks he's me.
He doesn't.
But no, fair play to him. He was actually the guy who kept the character alive. So I have a lot in debt to Jay. But it's because of that. Emotions don't have that. You're to the network, and what the networks say is what the networks say. And the networks are really interesting characters. I mean, you're talking about commercial. You're dealing with so much capitalism and commercialism in terms of what goes into those choices that you're making. But we didn't have that. We just had Jay, and if we wanted to say something, we felt the characters could do something or say something differently, he was open to it. And we could make that decision, and he could veto anything. So if he was like, no, that's what's happening. The network had nothing to say. They still had to go. And that is almost unheard of. So we were really lucky in that respect.
So many good shows die an early or a painful death because the show creators want one thing and the network wants another thing. Firefly with its 13 episodes.
Woo! Big shout out for Firefly!
Yes, Firefly.
So the fact that you got 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 4 seasons.
How many do you think?
I forget. I know it's at least 4. I know it's at least 4 because
What
I
you put
watched
your
it.
money on? Let's put a beer on it.
Yeah.
I'll go 4.
It's nearly 6.
All right.
That's 2 beers.
It's 2 beers.
2 beers?
You like Chatterbox?
Too strong beers. Good beers.
Tougher.
Rounds
Not
for
shit
everybody.
Beers, good beers. Twirly mustache beers.
Twirly mustache. So 6 seasons.
Yeah.
That's actually really impressive, is given that A, it took so long to pick up, and then B, you as the cast, Jay, but you as the cast had almost all the control, and the network had nothing.
Yeah.
Why do you think the show was so popular?